Good morning. I'd like to call this meeting of the Municipal Airport Authority of City of Fargo to order on this Monday, December 16, 2024. Roll call, please.
Shawnee.
Here.
Berg.
Here.
Coster.
Here.
Beckman.
Here.
Appleton.
Here. Approve the minutes of November 12th, 2024. I'm assuming everybody has seen those and reviewed them. Entertain a motion, please.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded.
Did
All
have
in
a
favor
question on
signify
page
by
2.
saying aye.
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 Kidding.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Approve the order of the agenda. Has anybody got any additions or deletions they'd like to make to the agenda? Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Consent agenda. Before you, all the way through A, items 1, 2, A through X, and 3 through 8.
Move to approve.
Motion been made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Seconded.
Second.
Yeah, I'll second, but let's maybe have a little discussion.
Yeah, I have a question on consent agenda item 4 and 7. Okay, kind of here, or just add it to the beginning of the regular.
What's your question?
On the design contract with Mead and Hunt. Jeff, who's here? There's a section in there that asks that we have a designated representative and uses the term complete authority. I'm just wondering what you're looking for there.
That would be Sean,
Okay, so
or Sean and the airport authority as a whole, I guess, the way we see it.
well, as I looked at it, I was just questioning, can we grant complete authority over a contract to an individual?
Can say that again?
The contract asks that as the sponsor, we designate a representative for complete authority over the contract.
That would, yeah, that's usually the executive director.
Right. But we can't grant complete authority. Is that a new?
No, it's been in all the contracts.
Every contract we have.
But
That goes back to 1970.
yeah,
Joel,
as I read it though, as you envision complete authority, does that individual then have complete authority to approve a change order?
No, because any contract amendment to this would have to go back and get the approval.
Change orders always come to the board.
So I just looked at that and I just thought that was problematic in its language that the appointed.
I mean, if it's the airport authority's wish, I mean, we can go back and redo it, subject to Stacy's review.
I mean, I think if we just even added a complete authority with, a vote of the board or agreement by the board.
That would be fine.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, and then item 7, you have a problem
Yeah,
with?
and item 7 is the amendment to the employee handbook. I don't imagine this has much of a fiscal impact, but we are changing the employee handbook to comply to reflect the City of Fargo handbook, which I kind of thought we were separate from the City of Fargo at this point, but it seems we're asking to adopt to their standards. But my question was, what's the fiscal impact of this? I don't imagine it'll be very much, but what do we is a very difficult one to wrestle down, and it's a pain to the employees. It's a pain to the employer. So I'm not struggling with that one. But what's the fiscal impact of this going to be? And
Less than $2,500, maybe 2,000 at the most.
okay,
Maybe we'll get to that amount. It's
Yeah.
very, very minimal.
okay. When we have those, I did not see that in there. Was that in there?
No.
Okay. When you're asking to change an employee handbook that can have fiscal impact, I would hope that we could include those in there going forward. So it's very hard for us as a board to anticipate how many people are on call, how many people this would affect. And instead of just justification being, we're mirroring the city of Fargo, a little more detail there would have been helpful. Those are my questions.
I could just comment on the synergy somewhat between the city of Fargo and the airport policies. It was one of those things, since the parties were joined for as long as they were, that why reinvent the wheel? And so we went through and we adopted those that fit the airport and then modified those that didn't. It was kind of like the path of least resistant work. So that's where that reference comes.
Well, yeah, and again, we've kind of broken with that already. We did a 4.5% raise for our employees as part of their employment package. City of Fargo did less, and so we are going to see situations where maybe in other benefits we aren't going to be in line because now the pay scales are starting to deviate, and it's, you know, I just found it interesting that sort of in this instance where it's increasing pay, we want to mirror the city of Fargo. I'm not so sure we would be as aggressive if it went the other way, if the city of Fargo reduced their on-call pay, if we would then be asking for the same thing. So it's not a one-way street. So
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, can I follow up on John's number 4? Are we going to be, is there another proposal for the design contract? Are we going to have a competing proposal or an RFP?
They are our engineer of record for 5 years
Okay,
for federal projects. That selection was done a few months ago. They were the only engineering firm to respond. So
okay. I wasn't sure
an
if this
engineer of
was
record.
an amendment to that. Okay.
Any further discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Rashani. Yes. Bird.
Yes.
Cosgrove.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
Avatar.
Aye. Regular agenda, item number 1, receive the October financials. Any,
I am here. Good morning.
go ahead, please.
I'm just going to bring up my screen to share. All right. Can everybody see the screen?
Well, yeah.
Okay. The October financials, I'm going to go over, just like your packet says, we'll go over the October financials, some highlights for the operating fund, then we'll just take a look at the terminal and the parking project recaps very quickly. As far as highlights to the operating fund, no issues with the revenue fund. The items that have been tracking higher than budget all year are still tracking higher than budget. One item to watch I put on there, and I mentioned it last month, was the parking. The parking was on track till August. These financials are through October, and the parking right now is about $92,000 under budget. So to meet budget, we're going to need about 1.2 between November and December. So about a good 600,000 in parking revenue. And I don't feel real confident that we're going to meet that. And looking at prior years, it seems like October is our highest parking revenue and November and December kind of tail off. So we might be slightly under budget for parking for the year. I'm not concerned about it because we have all the other items that are tracking higher than budget. So overall, I see the revenue still ending up higher. So I don't see any issues with that, but parking is one just to keep an eye on.
Tana,
Yes,
do you have a flash for November parking?
I don't.
Mid-December, we should have some preliminary on parking.
Sean or Joan, I would have to deflect to you if you've seen any
We do have
any
it.
commissions or any statistics turned in yet? Nothing?
Yeah, we do have it.
Revenue was about 430, I think, and then after expenses, I think our payment was about 350.
Our net was,
like that.
yeah, 350 some. I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, and the dynamic here that we're talking versus budget, what was it in November? We're trying to make up 92. It's November above or below.
It's below, I believe.
We know how much. We don't know what our revenue for November is at this point.
We do have the number. I just don't have it in front of me right now. It's about 350,000 was our take that they deposited into our account.
So revenue will likely be a little lower for November. We probably won't hit that 650,000 would be my guess. Because we'll need about 600,000.
Yeah, we're talking two different things here. You're talking net and you're talking gross.
Yep, just revenue only.
So do we have gross revenue for November?
430, I believe it was.
Okay. So I think we will come in a little bit under for parking for the year, but I'm not too concerned about it. As I said, the car rentals are bringing in higher revenue. We've brought in more revenue from our interest this year, and the airlines have brought in a little additional revenue. So I still expect us to be roughly between that $900 million over where we budgeted. But you guys keep in mind now, we really took a look at the 2025 budget and recognized the fact that interest rates are coming down and our savings balances will not be what they have been. Excuse me. So I don't expect the revenue to be this extreme or this over budget in 2025. To go on to the expenses are tracking lower than budget by about $1 million. That's mainly due to the salaries and just a couple of positions that hadn't been filled. But mostly all expenses are tracking slightly lower. And then I noted the expenses that are tracking higher. And these aren't recent. These are throughout the year and they've always been noted. The repairs and maintenance, the chemicals, the vehicle purchase. So those were tracking a little higher. But even though they're higher, our expenses will come in lower than budget this year, which is always a good thing. So where I see us net income, this is at the end of October, because like I said, the November financials have not been finalized. So we still have November and December. So based on end of October, we should come in roughly about 2 million over budget. But then what the plan is for that money would be, yes, it would carry over into the next year, but it would more so go into like a savings account and be used for projects and other needs that we have coming up in 2025.
Tana,
yeah.
The salaries running under budget. How many open positions are we dealing with there, Sean?
Yeah, Sean would have to answer that one.
A couple open ones in the building side.
And that's how, what's the status of that? Are we not able to hire those positions?
Filled one and the person left, so we're in the process of trying to fill one position on the
And
building
that
side.
position, those positions have been open all year.
Well, they were filled and then they left, or they were filled and then the person never showed up for work. So yeah, it's just ongoing.
So how much is that, this open or the open positions, the salaries?
Let me look here where we're at. Let's see here. We're roughly about, let's see here, about 400 under 400,000.
In salaries?
Yep.
That's more than one or two positions.
Yeah, some could be overtime.
Right. It would be, yeah, it takes into account all of that.
Benefits, yeah.
Salaries, overtime, benefits.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we budgeted
More
our
than,
regular airport budget. We budgeted 1,400, and we're currently at 1,100. And so our salaries are under budget, but then we have a lot of items that are over budget, like the chemicals and the vehicle purchase and things like that. So that gives us that net expenses being under budget.
right, so you're saying there's 300,000 in full-time staff, under budget.
Mm-hmm.
1.1 million or 1.2 million versus 1.5 million. Or is that over?
Correct.
Or is it, yeah, okay, so that's under budget by 300,000 and that's two unfilled positions?
Three unfilled,
It should be.
It's about 3.
two in the building and one out.
Correct. Parentheses.
Yeah,
I'm confused.
right.
I guess I can't speak directly to how many employees were over, under, short. Sean would know those details specifically.
What's the heading of those columns? 1, 2, and 3.
It would be actuals, budget, difference, and then the percent. So the budget is the second column.
Okay. So if I go up on top where it says parking revenue, you have actual of 5.4. You've got budget of 5.5, and you have that in a negative parenthesis.
Yep, because we're tracking under budget, because that's our revenue. So that's the 92,000 that I mentioned that we're under budget.
Okay, but
But that's revenue. But that's revenue. So revenue is good, and we're under budget. So revenue is bad when it's up here, but salaries are an expense.
Yep.
So when you're under budget for an expense, it's a good thing.
Yeah, my concern here is that if we're budgeting and operating with open positions, maybe we need to look at those positions or the compensation for those positions or something, or it just, we aren't getting a true picture of operating. How are we making up for those positions? Are we paying overtime? What are we doing here? That's all I'm.
There is overtime being paid for some, but like I say, it's been impossible to hire building attendants. People, some don't pass the
Well,
drug test.
and again, this is just an indication of a problem. Maybe if we were having trouble hiring people, what are the alternatives? How do we approach this? Is there services we could hire? To me, it just points to let's take a look and understand this instead of just running off budget by 300,000 a year. Because it's getting hidden in there a little bit because we're saying we're 300,000 under salaries, but we're probably picking up other overtime and other payments.
Well, I don't know. I guess if I look at it, and Sean would have to speak to it, I guess the airport is operating extremely efficient. If, you know, they're under budget. It looks like overtime is also under budget. Now, this is just not including the R1. They're also under budget a little bit, but if we just look at regular airport employees, we are under budget about 50,000 in overtime too. So I think we are being very efficient with the employees we have. And I guess it could be a question for Sean is there a need to fill those extra positions? And he's probably going to say yes, because some of them are probably understaffed. And with the terminal expanding, I'm guessing we do need more employees. Is that correct, Sean?
That's the plan for 2025, yes, is to hire those as the new addition comes on track, when that comes online. And plus you'll have the airfield side, we've been able to get by with some seasonal folks in the winter. They just come when it snows and successful with that. Summer part. Definitely will be filling those positions in 2025 if we can find the people.
Well, and again, Tana, I'm concerned that our budget adequately reflects how we're operating. And I know there's always a tendency to say if you're under expenses and you're over revenue, you're doing a great job, but you're still missing the target. And so if
for 2025, we can go in and, you know, evaluate where we're at for staff right now and where Sean wants to hire and stuff. And not saying that we can amend the budget, but we could make, you know, like an internal revised budget that we follow where we maybe adjust some of those salary item lines. But I think going forward into 2025, we are going to need those salaries in the budget.
Well, and that's not the case here. The case is trying to refine our budget so that we're closely reflecting both revenue and expenses. Where we are right now is we're going to end the year with 4.4 million of net income, correct?
No, we're going to end the year at about 2 million if our projections are right.
Cash. What's our net income look like? I thought net income was higher. But anyway, even at 2.2 million, we made decisions this year based on this budget where we actually had 2.2 million more available funds than we were operating under. And that can cause some inefficient decisions when you have that big a swing. So I'm saying let's tighten up on these budgets and let's get both revenue and expenses right. I'm not trying to have a discussion about what expenses should be, but to me that's still a big miss. That we were projecting a break-even budget. We're actually I thought I'll look again, but I thought it was about maybe that was operating income was 4.4 million. But we're going to add 2.1 million of unprogrammed cash to our cash balance. And have we made inefficient decisions during the year by not knowing that money's there?
No, I don't think we've made inefficient decisions. I think a budget is just that. I mean, it's just a very, a budget is predicted based on the past. And some of the things we went into thinking we would be fully staffed, and we weren't. But in the end, that ended up being a good thing because we ended up using more chemicals than we thought, and our vehicle purchase ended up being more than what we thought. So, you know, we hope when we put the budget out there, we are going to be over on some and under on some. But it was not the break even in expenses, you know, or was it in revenue? And we can look to tighten those areas up a little bit and see what we can do for 2025 to be more of the break even that you're looking for.
Well, and the last one, and I think you're gonna get to this, you've got your KPIs.
Yeah,
And I think we've talked about this before, but in your assumptions on your KPIs, you've got airline revenue growth and fiscal year 24, the airline revenue growth, you've got a minus 6.5%. And then fiscal year 25, you've got your KPI set at 17.7%.
yeah.
I know there was some COVID and different things in there. That one just jumps out at me as because then after that it drops down to 2%.
Well, the current airline revenue growth, so if you look down here, right here, we kind of explain why it is lower, because it's the airline revenue growth is compared from this year to last year, and it is down. But the majority of it is because we get reimbursement expenses for the ARF and the security or the TSA.
Right.
And those expenses have been down. So because those expenses have been down, we only get reimbursed what those expenses are. So the revenue for that ended up being lower, which is fine. It just means that their expenses were lower. And then to answer this 17.69 increase, that is basing it, so that's taking our airline revenue that we're expecting for 2025 and comparing it to what our 2024 was. So we know our 2024 was less, and in 2025, we're expecting our airline revenue to be more once we get the terminals opened and more flights and, you know, more fees from the airlines. And so because of all of that, that's why that big jump is there.
Yeah, just
And the revenue growth for this year also is negative because, like I said, it's compared to last year. And last year we had $4 million of COVID dollars or COVID funding still coming in that we don't have this year. So that's why it looks really negative.
well, and again, when you look at the trend in those, that one just kind of jumps out at you, and maybe you've got the partial footnote there trying to explain it, but that looks like a real outlier. Because after 25, then so you're saying 24 is actual?
Well, 2024, it takes the actual of 24 and compares it to 23.
Okay, so
And it's down from 23.
that isn't the same number as 25. 25 is actually a projection.
Correct. 2025 is based on what we have for the budget.
So 24
is actual of 24.
24 is actual to date.
24 is actuals through October and then estimated for November and December.
Okay, well that would help explain 24.
I'm calling Dr. Rashani in just a minute, but first of all, I think some of this discussion should be held before this meeting. If you've got a problem with the financials, you should be talking to her before the meeting, and all we should do here is approve or disapprove the financial report. Dr. Rashani.
I was going to call the question. We'd spent 20 minutes talking about minutia.
Okay, is there a motion to receive and file the October financials?
So moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Well, I'll second that, but I guess is Tana done with her report? I know we got
Pardon?
off track. Has Tana finished her report?
Yeah, we can let her finish the report, but I'd like to let her finish her report and not continue on the discussion that should be held outside of this meeting here. Go ahead, Tara.
Basically, you guys have everything else that is in your packet is just what I was gonna show. It just talks about the employments that are higher for November and December. We're having a great second half of the year. I see that just going higher. Those statistics are in there. The parking we've talked about. And the last one just give you the recap for all of the terminal projects and then breaking it down by the terminal projects. And pretty self-explanatory, but maybe a lot of information. So if you want just the basic notes, what I would do is I would just look at each chart. That just tells for each project what our cash out of cash pocket is for the airport. And to sum it all up, if I do all of the terminal projects, the cash out of pocket for the airport is about 27.5 million. Which we have in our savings account now. But I know in January, we're all gonna meet, we're gonna go into a little more details and finalize and tweak construction schedules and everything else. So, that was the end of my presentation, was just to kind of lay out the terminal, the apron, the rehab for you, and then the parking.
Okay, thank you,
And I
Tom.
don't see any surprises, so thank you, guys.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Rashani.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
Cosgrove.
Aye. Okay, item 2, receive update from TL Store Architects and Parking Structure.
Morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. I'm going to share my screen here. So we have a couple of things to go over this morning. One is a review and comparison and recommendation of the parking equipment. So I believe you might have this in front of you, but so Flash parking versus Metropolis, the parking equipment and recognizing software and stuff like that. The big difference between these two, besides some dollars, is you own the equipment with Flash. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be borrowing. It's going to be in the budget for $537,000. That's actually roughly 300 grand less than what we had in the budget. So that's a good thing. The thing with Metropolis is I guess the best way to explain it is you're kind of leasing the equipment, so you never own it. You don't have any upfront expenses. They install it and you start on a year basis, starting at $115,000 a year, and with a 3% escalating for 5 years. So that's what I did on Flash, and I asked them to give it. They had some warranties for 2 years, so I had them give me warranties for 5 years, so it would be apples for apples. And so then the only upfront cost with them is the $265,000 for the Prax, which is basically the car parking counter that goes into the ramp to tell you how many cars are available or slots are available on each floor. The 185,880 is actually a reduction in Metropolis or SP Plus's management fee if you went to their system, because it's easier for them to manage it. And so what I did on this side for 5 years, I added that back in. So it's roughly $37,000 a year that they would reduce their management fee by. I think what we're saying is we've heard from you several times that you'd like to possibly go out for bids with regards to the parking management, and SP Plus contract is up in a year or so. And so right now, we're thinking it makes more sense to go with Flash and buy, it's, you own the equipment. And then in the future, if you guys decide, if you're still with SP Plus and we want to go to a more sophisticated detection system that might have some time to, improve and that kind of thing, you could always do that because you've got all your gates and all your, you've got the parking system, everything's there. So on the SP Plus side, that fee then continues after 5 years. It gets a little less because we've kind of paid for the equipment, but we're maintaining it, and they have zero cost to maintain it over 5 years. And if there's an upgrade in technology, which is usually a benefit not only to you but to them, that just automatically gets put into place. And typically that would be more of a software thing than anything. But so we're recommending right now, because you'd like to, go after possibly another RFP for that we'd go with Flash parking.
Okay. Then is there a motion to approve the Flash equipment as originally bid for the entrances and exits?
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question first? Sean, what's your recommendation?
To go with Flash, just because of the uncertainty. If you want to extend the SP Plus contract beyond September of 2025, then they can ask for a 5-year extension, or actually a little bit longer extension, in order to put the Metropolis.
Your recommendation is Flash.
Recommendation is Flash.
So moved.
Motion's been made to accept it. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman. I guess my
Discussion.
I guess I'd like to explain a little bit more. I didn't quite understand. You wanted to go out for an RFP, and you're saying if we go with the Flash, that creates a better RFP system for us. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, so
yeah, just explain that.
So the deal with that, Rick, is you as a board have been talking about wanting to, after when SP Plus contract is up in September 25, that you might want to go out for a proposal and get an RFP out. So with Metropolis proposal, we're basically having to sign a 5-year contract now. And so that would preclude you from going out to get it, and it wouldn't make sense because they aren't going to do this unless you sign a 5-year contract, because they have to recoup their costs through that $115,000 plus escalation every year. So, and again, you do not own the equipment in that situation. It's like leasing a car. You lease the equipment basically. And so if we have Flash, now we have all the equipment. Now you can go out and SP Plus can manage just like they are today. And you can go out for an RFP for parking management and not have to worry about, I mean, you can do that in September of 25 instead of waiting 5 years.
Mr. Chair, my question would be if SP Plus, if we had a 5-year contract with them right now for the next 5 years, would your recommendation still be to go with Flash?
Yeah, I don't think I can answer that from the standpoint. I think it's more of the issue is, there's been some questions about technology, and obviously the only thing that's going to happen is technology is going to improve. SP Plus's technology could be added to Flash's equipment. You'd have to be okay with, at the end of 5 years with SP Plus, you'd have to understand that the equipment isn't yours, so you'd either have to buy it from them or reinstall new equipment if you chose somebody other than them.
Okay,
So wasn't an answer, Terry. All of this technology is
I'm
gonna
going
be.
along with Sean. I mean, because I think you guys are looking at wanting to do an RFP at some point, and I think this gives you a more flexible situation. And you can always, when you do an RFP, you could always choose SP Plus or somebody else. But right now, you don't own the equipment, and now you're tied to them. And we think just because of the board's attitude towards getting RFPs out for things, that you'd be better served by doing Flash. So I think for me, if I knew the technology was going to really work, which I think it probably will. I mean, not rolling down my window at the parking garage would be a big deal, but maybe in a few more years it'll be better because they don't have a lot of experience in a whole climate. So it doesn't really affect cars in the ramp. It's really the fact that we have to do the long-term parking, and so that's where there could be some issues. But I think we're just feeling like it makes more sense to own the equipment and then have the flexibility of going out for at least for now.
okay,
I'm fine, Mr. Chairman. My only concern is it seems like if we're gonna make a decision 9 months from now for a 5-year, maybe longer parking commitment, we're kind of like putting what we think is the best today, but it seems like we should make a decision on who's gonna manage our parking ramp long term. So again, I'm fine with this at this point because we'll do an RFP, but I mean, I don't have a lot of problems with SP Plus. I think they've done a really good job and really responsive. And so my concern is if they're saying this is not what we would like, I think we're maybe sticking in the old way rather than the new way. But
all right, there's been a motion and a second, and is there any further discussion?
Quick question. Terry, is the Flash equipment, has that been upgraded technology-wise? Has there been advancements?
It's the latest equipment that they have. So, it's just the gate and paper, same exact thing. We're actually, in both instances, we'd be using 4 of our existing gates that we took out. We're going to be reusing those. So the technology there isn't very advanced in terms of, it doesn't need to be, because it's pushing buttons on a software pad and getting your ticket and that kind of thing. So it's up to date as equipment is today.
The Flash expert is here in the crowd, so if you have any questions, Flash, I mean, if you want to.
I'll be happy to answer anything.
So yeah, great, thanks. If you want to come up here.
Any questions for Flash?
sure, Mr. Chairman, I think one of the things that was presented to us is the ability to simply, without rolling down your window, go into the parking lot, drive out of the parking lot, the gate would automatically go up and down. And that's
exactly that with Flash today. That's exactly the systems that are proposed. You have an option for LPR cameras or not. You haven't elected those options, or those options are available to you. You can do exactly that as you wish. The Flash system, you bought $800,000 of Flash equipment several years ago. Most of it's in storage. Only 3 more lanes are being added to your system. So you already own a system that you bought, and you bought it with extended warranties. And it's what every operator is using, with the exception of Metropolis. Metropolis has brought a system in that they're asking you to let them own your customers and register customers in their system so they can charge convenience fees. You don't have that situation here. You have a generic system that's available to you to operate exactly as it's operating in today's environment.
So I guess the other question, Mr. Chairman, so the majority of parking lot managers are using Flash.
We're an independent operator, independent equipment. So almost every operator in the country, including SP Plus or Metropolis, uses our system every day.
They have the ability to use your system as well as if we decide we want to use Metropolis, they would then lease the
Absolutely.
equipment.
So you have independence, which is what I believe is one of your objectives. You're not gonna bring another operator in to operate the Metropolis system.
Right. Thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Just real quick, you said most of our systems in storage?
Yes, you took out,
Oh, okay, the ones we've taken out.
you've taken them
during
out,
Construction.
equipment
Okay.
storage, and part of the contract is to reinstall that equipment.
All
It's
right.
only a couple years old, with the exception of, I think, three or four lanes of controls that are being added to the system.
Okay.
My question was, so Flash is working in conjunction with the apps, and so if you make your
Absolutely.
reservation, okay.
All exactly the same thing. The
Okay.
difference is they're independent. You choose who you want to use. You can allow Google, you can buy your reservations through Waze, through Google, through ParkWiz. You own your client. At the end of the day, if you were to go with a proprietary system, they own your customer. And if you dive deeper into the proposals, their main objective is to charge service fees to your customers, basically raising your rates. So if you want to allow someone else to control your pricing, you would go with Metropolis, and they would, at the end of the day, would own your customers and allow you to charge whatever you choose, whatever they choose.
Okay, there's the motion and the second on the floor. Roll call, please.
Shawnee.
Yes.
Bird.
Aye.
Osgood.
Aye.
Beckman.
Aye.
Aye. Number 3, receive update from Eden Hunt regarding passenger terminal expansion and modification project.
I have one more thing that I'm kind of buttoning on, Brandon's, proposal, or I should say, his presentation, and that's this is the, just want to explain, we've gotten the prices for, the Skyway, and that is, GMP, number 4T, so T for terminal. And we're going to be asking for approval today. So just to explain this, we had a budget for the Skyway, which McGuff gave us quite a while ago. At the time, it had elevator equipment and lobby finishes included in it. We determined later on that those couldn't be put into any kind of a FAA reimbursement program. So we decided to take those out and put them into the garage bid and bid those separately. So that's what this $1,234,000 is, which leaves $5,116,000 left over. We got bids for the Skyway at $5,453,000, which technically we're over by $336,000 from our original budget, which is very good from the standpoint that we had no drawings, and this was just an estimate from McGuff based on other things they had done. So came in super close. And then the other thing that I just want to reiterate here is that with the GMP 4T, we are still $2,244,000 under budget for the terminal. And when we added this $1.2 million back into the garage, we're still $879,000 under budget for the garage. So it brings us to $3,123,000 under budget for both projects. That does not include yet, this is our estimate for the new drive lane that will be bid in March, and that's $822,000. So we're still tracking under budget, and we're going to be asking, or Brandon's going to be asking, because it's technically going in the terminal, a approval for this $5,453,019. Any questions?
Any questions? Hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the GMP item 4 for Skyway? For $5,453,019.
So moved.
There's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call,
Just a
please.
question, Mr. Chairman. When was the Skyway budget presented, that 6.3 million?
When was that presented?
Yeah, 'cause I thought it was like 4.5 million, what we estimated.
No, I think those were some like real preliminary, just throw them out at a meeting kind of thing, and then, I believe it was in August, last year that we put an, estimate together, or McGuff did. That's actually in all of the paperwork for the budget for the terminal, so it's been there for quite some time.
And then, Mr. Chairman, then by doing it this way and shifting those costs, this qualifies under the FAA as a terminal expansion, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Shawnee.
Yes.
Aye.
Osborne.
Aye.
Eckland.
Aye.
Cabot.
Aye. Okay.
Brandon.
Now let's go back up to discussion regarding estimated cost for proposal baggage claim items and alternate seating options. Brandon.
Yes, thank you. So first of all, thanks to Terry for running through that with me, for me. That's a really good overview, and I just assure the board that these projects are really going well. Your numbers are coming in strong, and being under budget at this time is a great thing. Now we still have our renovation ahead of us, which is getting into the terminal, and that can run a bunch of unknowns when you start getting into existing construction. So we feel very comfortable with this, but I just want to assure you that compared to other airport projects that we're working on, you guys are doing very well on this. So switching gears to the some of the baggage claim items that we had walked through, just to refresh memories. We had walked through with Paula just the baggage claim area, and there were some things that she was interested in doing down there that I think would certainly be an improvement, such as wrapping the columns in wood veneer, adding the LED lighting above baggage carousels, and then creating additional baggage cart storage beside or behind the existing or beside the existing stair. These totals, we worked with McGough to just put together some really preliminaries of what this would entail as far as scope, and McGough put some budget numbers together, and that came to about $83,000. So what we're asking the board is, would you like us to move forward with these items and incorporating these into the scope of the project?
Mr. Chair. Hey, Brandon.
Hey.
Say, what was the original budget for baggage claim that this would be an additional cost?
Well, we don't have parts of the airport broken out by budget, Paula. So you had seen we had made some improvements. We still made improvements to the baggage claim so that it still aligns with the design and the overall finishes theme of the airport. So it's not like it's just going to be standing out and looking the same as it does right now. It's getting all new ceilings. It's getting refreshed floor, and new paint, and now amenities to all blend with the rest of the terminal. So we're as designers, we feel very comfortable with the result and what's currently in the scope right now. But also as designers, we we love to make even more improvements if the budget affords it, and that is the case here. You've asked for a few things to improve it, and we would love to do it if you'd like to add that to the scope.
What are your wishes?
So initially, I think it was always the plan to do the linear LEDs. Is Gina on?
No, Gina's not on this morning.
Sorry.
Oh, she is. Hey, cameo.
Did this also include then the planters, putting the planters on the baggage claim as well? Like, was that in the original scope? Because I don't see that itemized on this one.
For the planters, Paul, I can answer that one. For the planters and for the additional furniture that you asked for, it's not significant as much a significant of a cost that we felt that we could fit that within the furniture budget that has to go out for proposals yet. But we feel that those kind of things we can fill in with the furniture budget.
So the request is, let's see, the request is for 80,000 to add the LED lighting, the seating.
No, the seating.
The seating's already in there, Paula. We had additional seating in the baggage claim already, and we feel that we can add more as we talked about to within the budget that we have for the furniture. So I don't see that as an issue. These are furniture items that we can fit within the budget. Wrapping the columns, LED lighting, and the additional baggage cart storage, those are all construction items. Those are things that are affect the terminal construction budget. So that's why those stand out a little more, and we already have a contract in place for those. The furniture, we still need to go out to RFP. We have a budget for it, but we have to get the formal pricing and purchase orders in place.
Okay, I was just confused about the additional cost because I have an email back, Gina back from September 15th of 2023 where it says the current plan is to replace lighting with linear LEDs, and then it said if budget permits, wrapping columns in wood, kid-friendly seating, biophilic elements, rental car counters. So I just don't understand why we're being asked to spend an additional 80.
All of the LED lighting was the lighting, the general lighting. It wasn't the extra lighting, the square lighting that you requested to do at the baggage claim to separate the different areas. The LED lighting was just the basic lights for that area.
Okay.
The construction lights.
And the planters are still in this upgraded plan?
We had some planters, but then after we had our meeting a couple months ago, we added some additional ones.
Okay.
Okay, what are your wishes? On the baggage claim improvement, we'll take them, the two items. The baggage claim improvement requested for an additional $82,682.
Move approve.
The extra seating with a net loss of 154 seats, but an additional cost of $31,000. What are your wishes?
Move approve.
Second.
Are you doing just the baggage claim and not the city?
Yeah, baggage claim first. There's been a motion to and second for approval. Roll call, please.
Rashani,
Is there a reason we can't handle this as an add-alt at the end if we're sure we're meeting budget?
I'm pretty close. Actually, this area, I'd have to look at McGough's schedule, but I don't think there's anything like long lead items here that I can think of, and the timing of this, we would be well past the period of discovery, what we like to call it, as far as unforeseen conditions in the renovation. So. If you'd like to kick this down the road a little further, you have time.
I'm for it, but I don't want to spend money that we don't know that we have. So yes, I would like to, a friendly amendment, hold on this until later in the process.
So you want to table it?
Table it. Yes.
Motion to table. Is there a second?
Well,
let's go ahead. We talk about minutia. This is minutia.
No, this is $80,000.
Well,
what you were talking about is minutia.
$2 million. We have $2 million in surplus from here.
So to have some excuse me, Mr. Chair, to have some additional storage, like we had talked about, maybe having the luggage carts and wheelchairs more accessible to the passengers, that could potentially be a sponsorship, like a hospital or a healthcare company might be interested in sponsoring, say, wheelchair storage, so it's accessible. Or, we had talked about some of those things. So I was just surprised about the 80,000 because it just seemed like 80,000 was a lot to wrap the columns and do the LED lighting. And could we live without the LED lighting? What can we live without? What's going to make more impact, bang for our buck?
Rick.
And that's why I was concerned about the original budget, wasn't it included anyways?
Well, I guess I'll withdraw my motion to approve this. I think the issue is, one, is it really costing 80,000? Two, do we have it in the budget or not? And so I think we can take this up, but that's something Brandon can look at. And if we've got the money in the budget, sounds like we're reducing other areas, we can take it up then. So,
okay,
so you don't have a motion.
Motion to table is still on the floor.
No, because there's no original motion.
He made a motion to table.
Table what?
Table this item, the 82.
What I'm suggesting is I'd withdraw my motion to approve.
Yes, okay, but the motion to table the baggage claim improvement is still on the floor. To talk about it at a later date.
Same thing. If there is no motion, then I will make a motion to table this until a later date.
Okay.
With the sidebar that I'm supportive of it. Want to make sure we can afford it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Discussion.
One more point of discussion. So, but Brandon, so if we table this, then what is included in the baggage claim update?
I'll send you that image again. We had an image of what it currently looks like. So all the walls, floors and ceilings are getting refreshed and to blend with the rest of the renovation. Ceilings as well, and then as well as the amenities. Now we're going to be getting into the detail of how we can coordinate all the displays and artwork and such in that area as well, and what we can do there. We're also getting fresh new casework in the rental and in the rental areas. That existing stair is getting completely redone. You'll have a glass railing right above it. Really, I know we ask you to trust us as designers, and it's a big trust because it's a lot of money. But we feel very comfortable and confident in the design we put forth for that space.
Okay. There's a motion to table it and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Number 2 is the flyaway comparison for the double armrest seating. Seating will be a net loss of 154 seats, and the additional cost is $31,758. Is there a motion?
So move.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion been made and second. Discussion. Any
I'm
discussion?
concerned about anything that reduces seating capacity. It's too often that I'm out here now, and people are standing because there are no seats.
Losing seats is not a good thing. The staff does not recommend that you lose seats. We need more seats, if anything, not less.
Any further discussion?
Well, we should talk about this. I mean, we don't want to make the wrong decision, but I think what I've,
It's discussion.
yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
how many seats do we need? That's the question. So I'm thinking with all our engineering now we've spent, they should be able to tell us exactly how many seats we need. So that would be my question.
And we provided the amount of seats that you needed. So this is going below the number of seats that we would recommend.
So can you provide more, again, can you provide more seats that are this type of seats? I mean, what I've seen in the seats that we're going to are probably more comfortable seats. I'm kind of surprised that there's all this, yeah. So I'm kind of stunned that we don't have some compromise. I mean, I think what we want nicer seats, right?
Well, with this going to double armrest seating, we're losing 154.
Well, I understand that, but we have nicer seats. So how do we have double armrest seats and accommodate the space we need? Has anyone looked at that, or has just said, no, we can't?
Yeah. Yes, we did a layout to see. We had to do a layout with this new seating arrangement, or with the double armrest seats, because they take more space than per square foot. So we did a new layout throughout the entire airport with these double armrests to see how we could best fit it in, and this is what we were able to do.
The beam on the double armrest is a different beam, so it's a wider configuration, because we do have, an additional armrest at each seat. As far as comfort, the sling type seat that we first recommended, I would say is probably a little bit more comfortable than the hard plastic shell seat that is with the double armrest.
So my concern, and I mean, there are like 7 different companies that make these double armrests, but my concern would be that we're, going to have, that we're following airport standards. And across the country, when I go to airports that are doing renovations or new terminals, they consistently have the double armrests as I think it's a reaction to COVID and giving people a little bit more personal space and their own armrest. So it's the same concept as nobody likes the middle seat on the airplane, because who gets the armrest? And then, do we not have tables in between to accommodate for a cup holder and a double armrest?
We do have tables in both designs, and I think, Paula, too, I did have that discussion with Arconis as far as, is this the way of the future with the double armrest? And they are saying that they're seeing maybe 50%. They're not seeing it as exact trend, that airports are doing both. Like Sean mentioned, one of the main things is your seating capacity, and we've done studies to determine what the seating capacity is and is needed for the type of aircraft that will be utilizing the gates. We can look at other companies. I'd be happy to, but just the layout of the double armrest is going to, reduce the seating of a single armrest seat.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm frustrated. I mean, we want enough seating for everyone. mean, that's an absolute we have to have. We can't cut back on seating. But B, we also want the most comfortable chairs we can get. So I guess I'm a little bit like, I don't like either one of these options, and I'm not gonna vote for approving it or not approving it, but it just seems that if this is important, which I think it is to customer satisfaction, then someone ought to be sitting in these seats to check them out. Or if we do the double armrest with no tables or anything like that, can we accommodate the same capacity? I don't know. And I'm not an expert at all, but it's critical that we have enough seating for everyone, and we want to have the most comfortable seating we can get with electronic hookups.
Comfort is subjective. Remember when we did the expansion in 2008, completed it, we put in all new seating. The seating that you have out there, we had different manufacturers bring in seating. Remember Mayor Wallaker was here. He sat in the chairs that we have there now. He said, this is the one. It was the most comfortable to him, where the other one was more comfortable. So saying the most comfortable, that what's comfortable to you may not be comfortable to anyone else. So,
well, what's uncomfortable to everyone, we don't want to do.
What is that? It's subjective.
Well, I just hate to see us, it's like I used this analogy before. When you buy a car, you don't buy the last year of the model. You buy the first year of the new model, and then your car looks new longer, right? We don't want to, if this is it just seems very common now in the post-COVID environment that people are concerned about a little bit of space and some, like you're touching armrests. Like I don't want to share an armrest with you right now.
All right.
That's all.
Mr. Chairman, what is our total seating? Trying to create.
Brandon, what's the total seating?
1,500. It's in your hand.
Well, it would be
It's in the hand.
with the.
Do we have that in the literature? I don't remember offhand what the total seating is.
We had it broken
It
down.
is 1,300.
Yes.
Is that what? Yeah.
So would it be about a net loss of 17 seats per gate?
Wow, you're quick at math, Paula. I would have to. I'll trust you on that.
Where does the 1,300 come from? That's exactly what we need.
That's from their
Came from their design.
The design standard.
And with the double arm seats, it's 154 seats less.
That is correct.
Mr. Chairman.
Those standards are the AIATA standards. I think that's the right acronym. That FAA recommends that we follow in design of terminals.
Mr. Chairman, maybe the question that needs to be asked is there any way we can add 154 more seats with the double rail?
Well, that was the study that we did to see if we could fit 1,300 in with the double armrest, and the best we could do is come short of 154.
And there's absolutely no space anywhere that could make up that 154.
We can look at it again and see. I mean, this is in the interest of not making the airport feel cluttered or overcrowded. So we want to make sure that we have all spaces accessible. But I mean, we can look at the space again and see if there's any way we can find niches or something that we could fit in more seating. It just makes it's difficult. The gates are the gates. I mean, we can add seats over in baggage claim or in pre-secure areas or maybe spaces away from the gates, but what we're really focusing on is in the gate location.
It's just another amenity that we could a heightened experience. Is there a way that maybe we could consider doing some of both?
I could take a look at that, Paula, for you.
When they're the same brand as the other, like single or double, then they would coordinate with each other, and you could have a little of both.
Yeah, we could take a look at that. And there are standards. You do want a standard distance between the seats, you know, because you have baggage and you need people to walk through. So we've taken all that into consideration, but we could look at doing a third option where we can combine the double arms with some single arms and see where that comes out.
Okay, still, I'm still looking for a motion.
There is a motion.
There is a motion?
I think I made the motion to approve it.
No, she did.
She did, and you seconded.
Well, I mean, I think clearly we don't want to reduce the number of seats right now, so I think, you know, I would withdraw my second if you draw your motion. See what they come up with.
Okay.
Okay, the motion's been taken off the table, and it will be up to Brandon to figure out what's the best, I guess.
So can I just clarify? So the ask is to see if we can do like a split the difference kind of thing and get some double arm rests in combination.
But what I would ask is you contact whoever, Paula or somebody, so we don't end up in this discussion at this meeting. It's either approve or disapprove, period. We've been asked that by our Dr. Schatz, who said these meetings should not last over an hour. And they're lasting 2 to 2.5 hours here.
Well, I think we need to do more work outside the meetings to make that happen.
That's exactly right. If you got a problem with what's going on, then get together with whatever the problem is, so you can come back and be satisfied at the meeting. All right. So that is off the table for now. Number 4, receive update from Flint Group.
I'm Sarah Bowers. I haven't met all of you. I'm newer to the Hector account as of September-ish, so good to meet you. I just wanted to do a recap of 2024, look ahead to 25. And Darren kindly has the presentation pulled up here. All right, you can see it.
All right.
Thank you. All right, so that little blue square is a video. So if you want to go back to Hector's social medias on your own time, you can check out a post from October 21st where we introduced the new Hector logo. It's kind of a fun video. But a few key things that we did this year, obviously I wasn't part of everything coming in late to the account, but we introduced the Easy Way to Getaway campaign. So that's for our paid media that we do. A lot of our focus in 24 was kind of top of the funnel brand awareness. We did some partnerships with NDSU Bison, radio and TV, Map Bus, things like that. We ran a full-scale crisis response exercise in June, which Madison's going to touch on a little bit later. You guys had a big groundbreaking event in July. We've done a lot of expansion parking garage support, especially on social media. And then, of course, the new logo and branding this fall. You can go to the next one here. So yeah, I kind of touched on this already. We tried some of those brand awareness tactics. We did Snapchat filters and Pinterest quizzes. That's more for a younger audience, kind of like a spring break kind of audience. We're not going to do that again in 25, but kind of nice to test out just kind of a different brand awareness tactic there. Paid social media ads have driven a lot of traffic to Hector's website, which is great. You'll see digital billboards around Fargo, as well as digital and traditional radio and TV. YouTube performs really well as far as digital video goes. So then getting into this coming year, if you want to go to the next one, Darren. Oh yeah, this is some social media, just organic. For Hector, if you don't follow the accounts, I encourage you to do so that you can see our content. But we do posts and community management on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or X now, I guess. Really encouraging to see a higher number of impressions. clicking post links. So for example, if we are posting Hector's website, going to that page on Hector's website, that's been up, and people seem to be liking video content. So we've been doing that and kind of testing that out this year as well. And added new followers, which is encouraging in kind of a cluttered social media space. So that's been fun as well. Now the next one. So looking ahead to 25, so these figures were already approved. They were submitted before I was on the account, but we have $250,000 in services for Flint. That's where we help Hector with strategy, PR, social. We do a lot of creative, graphic design and things like that, quarterly newsletters, and then we do website updates too. We are recommending Fly My Airport for 25 that would come out of this services budget, and I'll get into what that means here in a second. And then we have a separate budget for $200,000 in paid media. So I told you guys that we had tried some new brand awareness tactics in 24. What we would like to do is continue a mix of brand, but look more into conversions. Based on that website traffic that we saw in 25, we would like to drive more conversions to the Hector website, and we want to do that through Fly My Airport, which we'll get into. So that is what we're looking to do, is increase paid social media ads, add Google search, and also add more display ads. So that's like when you're browsing the internet, Hector's ads pop up. So specifically on Expedia, if people are searching flights, we want Hector's ad to pop up. Boom, they go to Hector and book directly through the airlines using our website instead. So kind of wanted to drive more of those conversions in 25, especially as we're looking to have that expansion and parking garage ready towards the end of 25 and 26. You can go to the next one there. So this is the Fly My Airport product. I've been working with Patrick Tracy, who's been in the aviation space a long time. He did airport marketing for a while too. He got together with some buddies and created this really cool product. So what this is, it is a widget that would be hosted on the Hector website. And it is driving people to Hector's website to search for flights directly. So you can kind of see it's kind of small there, but Fargo is already added as where you want to fly out of, and then you have the destinations that you're able to select as well. What's cool about this is that there are these landing pages. So when we do paid social media ads, we can do a really nice ad directing people to fly to Denver, right? Because that's a nonstop flight through Hector. And then it's this really nice landing page that talks about what you can do in Denver, and then book your flight. And it would take you directly to United as an example to book your flight. What we're excited about is we get some real-time data so we can see who these people are. They're searching for flights out of Fargo, so we want to target them, and we have some retargeting in our paid media plan as well. So I think it would be really cool to see what it produces next year. If you go to the next slide, you can see what we expect. So we're really just looking to make our website work for us and to fill our seats. So we do expect our website traffic to increase. Other airports that have implemented this product, this technology, they've seen an increase in website visitors. And really, again, helping direct, passengers find flights through us instead of having to search the internet on their own, really driving them to us instead. So based on what we see, I think we can update some of what we recommend, based on our marketing decisions, where we put our paid media budget, and maybe even lead to discussions with airlines as well. Okay, that's all I have. Any questions on that Fly My Airport? I know that's new.
So we're still going to keep Fly Far.
Yep, Fly My Airport is just a widget that we would put on Hector's airport. Yep, just kind of an extra page on the website.
The airports that have Fly My Airport just rave about it. So it's a lot of airports our size. It's a new thing. There's about 30 airports that have adopted it. They expect to be to 60 by the end of the year. But it gives you so much data. It's really, really good. It's the best I've seen.
I'll
turn it over to Jody. Thank you. All right, real quick. We just wanted to get this in front of you to get you thinking about what the possibilities are for surveying and gathering additional data. Somebody had reached out to Sean with a survey program, and Sarah and I sat through their presentation. There's some interesting things there that I think would be beneficial to gather additional information. But it was really expensive. So we took a look at how could we do this more cost effectively and still get the same amount of information. So right now, you're getting survey information mostly from parking passengers, and this would open it up to really trying to solicit information from different opportunities throughout the airport. So you could have QR codes positioned throughout the airport where people could quickly connect and fill out a survey about soft seating, for example, or whatever kinds of things that made sense to ask those questions about. And we can geofence the airport so we can get people coming and going and serve up the surveys that way. But just a idea to solicit more feedback from customers. The original proposal we looked at was about 30 grand a year. So we talked to our research team. We think we can do something really similar for about 18,000 a year. It would take about a month to implement, and timing for it. I was thinking about this on my way here. It's not something that we'd want to start today. It'd probably be closer to once the terminal is completed, or maybe even the end of 2025. So just wanted to plant the seed so you guys can think about that. And I don't know if you have any questions now.
Rick? Well, I've got like probably three questions. So one, I got a letter from the CEO of Bushel, CEO of Anchor Ingredient, and CEO of Butler Machinery. And they had about 8 recommendations that they'd like to see. So part of the survey, I understand this kind of big picture survey, but I also think there's easily you could pull the 20 companies that are using commercial airlines the most and find out who's traveling the most. And maybe rather than having some random 10-question survey, maybe really getting a little more in depth with a phone call to some of these people. I think you'll find the same thing from all these people. And then for us as a board, we want to know that. So if we can make change to improve the experience, we need to know what it is. So I'll forward that letter to you and forward it to our staff so you have it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one thing. The other thing that I think is really critical right now is parking. And so we didn't really hear you talking about that right now, but everyone's concerned about what's going on in parking in the airport. And so I think for the next few months, these are our real money makers, January, February, March. And so if we can make sure through however we do it to let people know that we have parking.
Yeah.
And
we've been working on some different ways to reach out to let people know the options.
Sure.
And even it's confusing if you don't travel a lot and you come out here, you're like, oh, I don't know where to go or how to use valet. And so we've done a lot of outreach about that, but we can definitely do more.
And I pulled up our website and I looked at parking and it talks about the cost and a lot of things. I think we need to make it really, really simple for people to know that. And if we have a shuttle to the far lots, we can have that shuttle. So the last thing, about a year ago, we talked about one of the key performance indicators is leakage. I mean, our goal from our marketing is to get more people to fly out of Hector versus driving to Minneapolis. And so I guess it's kind of, to me, that's one thing that we were going to get that updated every quarter. We haven't. And so you don't really have that information. So I think as we go forward, I really like us to make an effort to tie into that. Because again, I think that's our core thing is how do we get more people flying out of Fargo?
Yeah, and the digital media has taken into account the leakage and where it's been, where we've been experiencing it. So we've just broadened that digital outreach, but we'll continue to look at that as we get that data.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, so we're going to track leakage as a
I don't
metric
know how you
against the.
track it.
Well, we were supposed to track it on a quarterly basis.
He wanted it done quarterly, but Mr. Lum, our consultant, responded that it's not practical to do it quarterly because of how the DOT data comes out.
So we haven't gotten it from him.
We won't. I mean, if you want to spend $5,000 a quarter for data that's useless, he's recommending, and all of the consultants, whether it's Mead and Hunt that does air service development or others, is to do it every year, maybe every 2 years. So doing it quarterly is not.
Well, we should talk about that because I don't know how we measure it and how. I mean, if our marketing is trying to get more people to fly out of Fargo, then we should help them. Is it working or not working?
How they track it, all the air service consultants pull it from the US DOT data that the airlines report. It's a 10% sample of the DOT data. It's released, like each quarter comes out, but you're not going to see significant trends. Mr. Lum explained this. I can have Mr. Lum come back.
No, we want that. I'd like that leakage. So I guess I would say let's figure out how to get it more rapidly than once every 2 years. I mean, if it's data that's out there, we should be able to. But I mean, we don't have to have a motion to talk
We
about
can explore that a little bit.
I
and see
mean,
if we
he
can
already
work with-
explained it. I mean, we can have the Mead Hunt guys tell you the same thing, but that's fine.
Your point is no one can get that information
They
other
can
than
get
an
it,
annual
but
basis.
it's not worth the investment to get it on a quarterly basis. What the consultants will tell you is we maybe get it annually. Our
Or
annual
every
cost
other
is
year.
what, or every other year is probably even more beneficial. You're not going to see significant swings every quarter. The consultants would say, yeah, we'll take your money, but this is stupid. That's what they would tell you. And that's basically what Mr. Lum has explained to us. Wait, maybe we do it annually. It's about a $17,000 cost, but they would recommend doing it.
And every 6 months, it's not worth that.
It's not worth it.
Okay.
Because the data doesn't change fast enough. It's you got to look at it over a much longer period of time.
Mr. Chairman, does Flint have a recommendation on tracking to, if you can't measure it?
Off the top of my head, I don't, but we can think about that and talk to our region. Makes sense.
'Cause I mean, we're spending $500,000 a year. And I agree, the goal is to increase usage of the airport. Is there any way we can measure that?
Well, we measure the.
I mean, you
usage
look
of
at
the
employments
lights
and
or-
different things, but
Yeah, but the leakage, I think, to Sean's point, it's trickier. It's a little different measurement.
We've just had our 8th consecutive record all-time month. Something's working. Marketing or fairs or whatever. I mean, that's a pretty good indicator is the boardings.
All the fares, they're going up.
Mr. Chair, Jody, I don't want to jump ahead of you. Are you going to address, are we marketing to Fargo also to the airlines to increase our routes, increase our service?
So we've done a couple of things. We did a soft survey through social media to see where people were interested in flying to direct and tried to gather some additional information. We had really good response from that. I don't remember it off the top of my head. And Sarah, you met with what airline? Allegiant?
Yeah, that was more like an influencer marketing possible opportunity through Allegiant. But
we haven't really done anything to attract.
I attended the
flight
Routes conference in Green Bay and that was 6 airlines.
Okay. And we can support that, however you guys need from a marketing standpoint. But we've been trying to build our relationship with the airlines and enhancing marketing opportunities.
So I know now's the time to kind of lay that groundwork to make sure that when we do have the expansion complete, we've got the airlines to fill our gates and the routes.
Groundwork was laid a long time ago when they've all been involved in the planning of the terminal. Both on the property side and the network planning side are all working side by side with Brandon on the multiple needs that we've had with the airlines.
Okay.
So that seed's been planted a long time ago.
That's good to
Air
hear.
service development is continual. It doesn't stop.
Okay, sign
Can we
update.
move on? No, go ahead. We talked about this, I think it was last spring, and we had done the RFP. Indigo Signs responded to the RFP, and then we showed you some monument options to replace that entry sign out there. And at that time, we talked about a bigger video screen and what some different options could look like for the design of that sign. This was one of the options. Does this animate, Sarah?
No, there's one after it though.
So the screen on the left would be rotating video, and it could be any number of things. It could be flights to Denver. It could be welcome vets. It could be, you know, things that are related to what's going on at the airport. So this is where we ended up. I don't know from a timing standpoint how you guys want to consider this or how long it takes Jill to implement it. But there was discussion at that time on whether or not it'd be an issue with 19th Avenue. It doesn't sound like it's going to be. So just wanted to get this back in the mix of discussion.
Who changes all the rotating screen stuff? Who does that?
So it depends on what you guys want to do. Staff can do it. Flint could do
I
it.
don't know how staff can have the time to do it.
So we could do it if that's an option. I think other companies, it just depends on if they have their agency do it, if they do it
And
internally.
didn't Sioux Falls, they had something like this, but they quit because nobody paid any attention to it?
Actually, Sioux Falls invested in 2 billboard size Daktronics signs that they put on their new parking garage, and they're utilizing that by encouraging new routes by saying we'll give you $25,000 in free marketing, and then they put it on the sign that they own. So they've really leaned into more digital marketing.
Yeah,
or
but they,
whatever this is called.
Their entrance sign that they quit. Number one, it was $25,000 a month or something like that, and they came and said that nobody really paid any attention to it anyway. So
they just made us. I don't know about that, Jim. I'm remembering our visit to Sioux Falls,
Yep.
and now they've
And they
actually
do it
put
on
out on
their-
their
they do it on
website
the
that they
parking ramp,
they
yeah.
just installed the 2 huge Daktronic signs on either side of their parking garage. They don't have the great visibility right by their road that we do, so their signs are very, very large. And they choose to use it, like one of the ways that they utilize those digital signage is to incentivize new routes and airlines.
And there's
Mr.
different
Chairman,
ways you could
Mr.
use
Chairman,
this. Sorry.
yeah, on our visit to Sioux Falls, they were doing community development with some of they were engaging with the community.
I can't hear a word you're saying.
They engaged in community development with their signage, and they really didn't talk much about their entrance sign. It was the 2 boards on the parking ramp. Welcome to special events or whatever.
So we just wanted to bring this back to the table to see what you guys wanted to do with it. Jill, how long does it take for installation?
It would probably take, I'm guessing, probably about 4 months out for a semester center.
Okay,
Good to move on.
good to move on. Next
That
item,
was just another.
crisis communication plan. Unless you
Yeah,
got.
no, before we get to that, just one more thing. The other thing that we talked about is having this
Oh, okay.
opportunity for companies to participate in some kind of signage, and we'd like to continue to move forward with this. There's different options and different layouts that we can show you, but the idea was to have some of the more prominent businesses have an opportunity to have some kind of welcoming sign within that gateway somewhere. So
Sure, I think that's a great idea, and have something that's refreshed and yeah, absolutely. A lot of these people are coming, they're coming to those companies.
yeah.
But I had another question. So I missed last meeting, but was Mead and Hunt overseeing signage or passed something funding for So it's not your. You're not dealing with Mead and Hunt on this side.
We talked to them, when they first proposed taking over signage, and we can work with them, you know.
Oh, but you're not. I mean,
No,
yeah,
we
you're running with that.
Sarah, you guys talked to them.
Okay.
Okay, now we're good.
Okay. Crisis communication plan, or, yeah.
Is there something you wanted to add?
No, we can talk about it at the end.
Okay, so crisis communication, we have Brady Scribner with the City of Fargo and Chief Noyes with the airport online as well. So going to let them kind of weigh in here. Wanted to bring this up. The headline here is really that Hector's really well prepared. This is something that we have planned, we've documented, we've walked through. Crisis communication is something that we feel really confident in. Just wanted to point out that why we prepare like we do is because we want to, reduce panic and confusion. Quick, clear communication is critical to managing things effectively as they come. And then it really helps us be ready for new risks and improves communication with those teams as we go through it. So if we go to the next slide, there's really 3 key elements. One would be the crisis communication plan. I believe there's a handout in your packet. This is specifically what Flint would help support with the entire crisis communication team, but something that we would really look to support. This is specifically the crisis communication. So how do we push out messages in what would be a relatively short term until the entity that was involved in the crisis would come in and manage those communications? The next is an AEP. And Chief Noyes, I don't know if you want to give a quick update or a quick overview of what that piece would be.
Basically, the airport emergency plan, it just lists out every possible emergency that we could encounter out here at the airport and how we respond to it and how we use our mutual aid with the city to respond to these events.
Perfect. And then Brady, do you want to chime in on that functional annex piece?
Sure. Yeah, thank you. Again, my name is Brady Scribner. I'm the City of Fargo Emergency Manager. The City of Fargo regularly engages with the airport on emergency planning and the process on an annual basis. We participate in the annual review of the airport's emergency plan. So on pages 19 of the AEP, it kind of defines that Joint Information Center. Which really is the overall structure and concept of a crisis communication team, or a situation where if there was an emergency, let's say at the airport, that we would collaborate together on our crisis communication. So then further on page 23 of the AEP, it goes into further detail in that functional annex on what that emergency public information process looks like.
So again, just to kind of recap, there are different moving pieces in this crisis communication kind of effort. It's something that we practice on a triennial basis. We do a full-scale exercise, which we did out here in June. But again, just wanted to reiterate going into 2025 that those have all been reviewed and looked at, and we feel really good that we have a plan in place. So, any questions?
Great. What's the, do we have to do an emergency exercise here on an annual basis?
Tabletop. Every 3 years.
Every 3 years?
Tabletop annually.
Tabletop, okay.
Full scale.
Very good. Any questions? If not, item number 5, old business.
Actually, Mr. Chair, I do have a few questions, but while Flint is here. So what are, and then we did pass the $212,000 deal with Mead and Hunt about signage as well, and I think in that package was moving forward with the electronic sign. So what is the next step that we would do? We've already done the RFP. We've got the different sign choices. What's the next step to move forward with that?
Mr. Chairman, what was the RFP for that? I think that was last month. I think we approved that. I wasn't here. Don? what was the RFP? I mean, we were involved in that a long time ago, and at one point, originally was to help coordinate our advertising, our sponsorship, signage, and a bunch of that. And I think a bunch of stuff was peeled off. So what did we approve last, do you recall?
I'll send you a copy of the RFP. I mean, what Brandon is gonna coordinate.
The artwork was peeled off.
The artwork is taken out. NDSU has taken over that role.
The signage is peeled off.
Well, signage is still in there. Wayfinding, everything. I'll send you a copy of the contract. It was just returned, signed.
With the digital sign.
Signage is signage, whatever, digital or static, whichever. Yep. In general, the whole works.
Well, like I said, like copy, it seems like a little confusion who's doing what. But
well, it's all supposed to be coordinated.
What did we approve originally? What was the scope of Mead and Hunt's role? I guess that's kind of my question.
Coordination of all of that.
Which was part of our original bid, or what there?
It was outside the scope of the terminal project expansion. So what we approved is what's outside of the scope of that additional work for them.
Do we know? Well, they said I'd like to know what all we spent on, because he's our owner's rep, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so our original bid with Mead and Hunt had nothing to do with signage or wayfinding or anything like that.
It included the signage, but now you're talking the coordination between the parking ramp, a bunch of different areas of it with the new logo and so forth, which Flint is involved with.
Seems like we created a cluster.
Well, this is what you approved, so.
Well,
What signage has already been ordered? I mean, the interior signage has already been ordered. Do we have wayfaring signage?
Yes, that's all part of what
Ordered.
the original contract. So Brandon can tell you exactly what.
So what's left in signage?
Hey, so what was in the original contract was the terminal signage and wayfinding, which we have. It's rolled into the GMP contract with McGough. The signage and wayfinding amendment that was approved last week was including site wayfinding, collaborating and coordinating all the parking ramp signage and the new branding, incorporating that, looking at the site as a whole to make sure it's a nice fluid experience for the passengers. It also includes, even though we don't have an artwork consultant or agent choosing artwork, we already have started working with NDSU's art program director to bring in, and it was a very good connection to bring in a rotation of artwork. We're pretty excited about it. I mean, just the brief discussions we had of it, it's going to be pretty cool. So that's part of that amendment. It's coordinating all the advertising as well with Flint Group. And then, yes, we were planning on the monument sign, also coordinating that piece of it.
What's your timeline for that?
We're still incorporating it into the schedule. We have plenty of time on that. So I don't have a date for you, Paula, but we're working through that to make sure that it mends well with the rest of the schedule.
Do we need to determine which electronic sign you're going to go ahead with?
That'll be part of the discussion. So one of the efforts we're gonna make here once we get this all set up is we'll have a committee that we'll work with outside of this meeting, so we can have those discussions on what's being coordinated, what's being proposed, and then the effort would be off to the side, and then you could come to, or whoever is involved in that committee can come to these meetings and just give an update on where things are at.
Mr. Chairman, Brandon, we just saw in this package, the monument sign. Now, you're gonna coordinate that? I guess I'm just curious here. That looked like it was pretty well done, ready to go.
Is it ordered? They were just proposing it, right?
Yeah, we did an RFP.
Yeah.
It was last spring. It was presented to the board. And then we had some discussions about just upgrading the video board on it, and that is.
Because I think back to Rick's question, or Paula's question, where are we on that?
Yeah. So it was approved at the last meeting, and we're getting the amendment rolled into the contract and putting together a schedule to put together a committee. And we, like I said, we have time for this. We want to make sure that we do it right and include everybody in it. We're not late on anything, so no worries there.
Mr. Chair, it'd help if you could send out what we approved and what you're doing. I think that's where it's a little confusing. So I think that'd be good for us to see what steps you're going forward in that amendment.
Okay.
Don't miss any meetings.
I know.
It's
My
included
fault.
if you go back and maybe Nicole can find the agenda packet for that meeting, the whole contract's in there that was approved.
I would.
Any other old business?
And back to that $212,000 package, it said, like Brandon or Mead and Hunt is reimbursed as services are completed, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for you just to send me what you did. I mean, I'd like to know what it means. So maybe Brandon can say, here's the things that weren't original that we plan on doing. So we know that. We know who's in charge of what. And I don't know if we need a bunch of committees or not. We just want to try and keep this thing going.
Yeah, definitely. And the purpose of the committee is to provide more direct representation from the airport for the board to be a little more intimately involved in the artwork that is being proposed to be put in and the locations of it and how it mixes and meshes with the advertising. And then the sponsorships as well, not to mention that's also part of that amendment too, is we're facilitating those sponsorships to make sure that if there's opportunities to get sponsors to upgrade the playground or upgrade other areas or sponsor a gate,
Mr. Just send that to us because I think there's a lot of confusion on who's doing what still.
I thought Flint was going to do some of the sponsorship.
Any other old business?
Yes, just one moment. I just thought I would do an update to follow up on what we, the committee that Dr. Bashani suggested to have me move forward with exploring or communicating with NDSU and the city of Fargo on developing a hypothetical plan for the areas surrounding the airport as a special project with Dr. Susan Kleiman's architecture course. And I did meet with Dr. Susan Kleiman and I did meet with Nicole Crutchfield from the city of Fargo. Dr. Susan Kleiman has said that this is a project that she is interested in looking more into. She can't make a commitment at this time. They're going to explore it. She's open to it. She's excited about it. Also of interest to her is some of the different restrictions that are a little bit more unusual, like with the airspace and the lighting. And Nicole Crutchman from the city of Fargo said we have her blessing. That she's excited about the project as well. And so I just wanted to give you an update and let you know where that was.
Yeah. Very good.
Final thing is that the governor's budget did include the $120 million funding request, $60 million for Fargo, $30 million for Grand Forks, $30 million for Dickinson. We've been working on this for the last 8.5 months. So it is in the budget as part of the North Dakota Aeronautics Commission budget. So our task is to support the approval of the North Dakota Aeronautics Commission budget, which includes $120 million. The Airport Association of North Dakota has made it their number one priority. Shane Gettle is the lobbyist that has been working with us throughout the past 6 months. Fargo-Moorhead Chamber, Grand Forks Chamber, Dickinson Chambers, it's on their priority list along with the Valley Prosperity Partnership. And we've been assured by Governor Armstrong that it will be in his budget as he takes over or has taken over. So we're just waiting for the hearing schedule to come out, which Kyle Warner from the Aeronautics Commission will let us know when the hearings will be. I don't know if it's going to be the House side or the Senate side first, but we'll let you know when we know. So that's good news.
Well, I attended it was the Cass County Leaders Roundtable on kind of the airport's behalf. And, that, again, that's something, there's probably nothing more important for us, or one of the important things just is funding the next 3 months. So again, we need to collaborate with some of the other people within the city, because I think the mayor of West Fargo is very supportive, Mayor Fargo is supportive, and it's going to be in trouble with county commission supportive. That's good, but it's going to be about property tax this session, so it may not be as much money as we hope.
One other thing that I had forgotten, I was in DC with Sean a few weeks back at a chamber sponsored, and I brought up to Senator Hoven that we need buckets full of money. Buckets, I told him, buckets.
Trucks.
And he said, well, what about this? He called in his chief of staff saying, I thought this was all settled. And no, but Sean told me, he knew about it, just probably vacated. But they did have a meeting the following day with FAA.
But it would be good just as we go through our next meetings be updated on that. The other news that I saw in the paper was that Grand Forks just got approved for their air traffic controllers to go right to work.
Yep.
So not having to go through that other step. And so I think that's from our shortage here of air traffic controllers. I think we have, I don't know what the numbers are, we have 12 and we're sanctioned for 22 or something like that. I think the more we can.
So I understand that that's kind of a national thing coming about because of the shortage of controllers.
I think
they don't have to go to Oklahoma.
Sean would know better, but I think everyone had to go to Oklahoma for a period of time before they could come back out. So this organization, well, UND, they'll be able to come right back out.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll have Casey come over and give us a 5-minute briefing on what that means for the department. He's our manager.
Well, the question is, what can we do to facilitate, help that?
Yep.
Okay, anything other? If not, motion to adjourn. I know, but you can't.
So move.